Hey guys, this is Garrett Wong, also known as Ensign Harry Kim from Star Trek Voyager, and you're watching Astronomy Live.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Stop.
Hi folks, welcome to Astronomy Live. I can hardly believe this, but I'm pretty sure I've got Orion from Artemis 1 in the telescope right now. So we're going to be tracking it here tonight, hopefully. Despite severe moonlight, despite some other limitations I'm currently dealing with, we're going to be looking at Orion, Artemis 1, as it returns to Earth. It is this little faint smudge right here. Now these are unguided exposures. I don't have the autoguider running. I don't actually have the autoguider cable with me for reasons that will become clear later. I've loaned it out for now, so I don't actually have the ability to engage normal autoguiding with the SBIG camera. I'm also using the 11-inch Celestron NexStar GPS. And so I don't have it polar aligned. It is out as aligned, which is also a bit of a limitation here, but we're going to work around it. So what we've got here is we actually have Artemis, and I can tell because it's moving. It's hard to astrometrically solve these images because they are fairly poor in quality. We're dealing here with severe interference from moonlight. The moon is not too far from Artemis, just a few degrees away. But despite this, you can see it here. It's right here. It's moving down and to the right in successive images as I scroll through here. It's here. Very, very faint, but it's there. Now, I've collected additional images since then. It's easier to handle the contrast, the brightness and contrast of these images in Deep Sky Stacker, so that's what I'm doing. But even Deep Sky Stacker is having trouble aligning these images based on the stars. Sometimes I can get them to astrometrically solve in astrometry.net, but only occasionally. Now it's down here. The time and date stamps shown here are in universal time, important to note. So now it's approaching the bottom right of the image. It's about here. And I'm going to move the telescope as careful as I can, in real time, sort of, and try to get it more in frame. Let's see if I can get away with a 1-second exposure to pick up some stars and see where I'm pointing. Yep, sure can. Okay, I'm going to move the scope a little bit. Stand by. Okay. Now I'm going to turn on autosave again. Set this back for 30 seconds and start exposures. Okay, so I'm running exposures again. Let's see. Okay, light files. 80 seconds. So, yeah, moved on down to there. It's really, really faint. It is very, very faint. I'm going to go back to the top of my list of images here. But I am pretty confident this is going to be it. I'll know for sure once I get some astrometrically solved images here and check the coordinates and see if it is a match. Astrometry.net itself is running real poorly for me tonight, and I'm not entirely sure why that is. I suspect part of the issue might be the quality of the tracking here. Unguided 30-second exposures at the extreme focal length of my 11-inch scope is asking a lot. But still, I'm hoping I can get some images going here and get some coordinates. If I can just confirm that that is exactly at the right coordinates of Orion, then we'll have pretty good confidence here that we actually are tracking Orion. Things booking. It's not going in one side of the frame to the other in 30 seconds. Keep in mind, these images here were taken over quite a few minutes of time, so pay attention to the date timestamps here at the bottom. Not what I wanted. Hang on. Trying to close some background programs here. Hang on. Okay, so let me come back up here. So the date timestamp here, 1:28:20 Universal Time, and by the end we're at 1:48 Universal Time. So this is over 20 minutes roughly, this whole sequence. So it takes a few minutes. It takes quite a few minutes to cross the frame, but that's expected. That is what I expected based on the orbit. Sometimes it's essentially invisible in individual pictures, but other times you can just make out there's something faint there that wasn't there earlier, and it's consistently moving down to the right. Now it's a little bit lower down here. Again, very hard to see, but we are dealing, like I said, with extreme levels of interference from moonlight, background light. You got some haze mixed in. It's pretty miserable conditions, so it's pretty remarkable I can pick it up at all. There it is, a little faint streak of Orion right there. And again, this is about 20 minutes later almost. So I've now moved this star here up here roughly in the frame. It's taking new pictures now. So we're going to load those pictures in just a second and hopefully continue to track Orion. And you can really, oops, I didn't mean to do that. You can really see the effect of moonlight in the new pictures too. So let me pull in some of these new pictures. So this is a new pointing position now, where I've, like I said, I've moved the stars. I moved the telescopes of the star. I'm pretty sure I didn't. I hope I didn't move it too far. I think it's this star here that I've moved up here. So let's see if we can continue to find Orion at all. Ooh, pretty tough. Okay. Pretty tough. I can do another go-to, which is how I got on it before. Just go to the current coordinates, do a slew. Not seeing it here at the new position, but we got this nasty moonlight coming in over here, and there's nothing I can do about it. So Orion made its return power flyby burn. It just, I think about, what was it, 80 miles above the moon, something like that. It was very close approach to the moon earlier today. And so trying to get on it just a few hours later, when it's still very close to the moon in the sky, very difficult. Very difficult. This was a long shot. I didn't think I'd actually succeed tonight. I was pleasantly surprised when I saw something moving through the frame. Gradually. Too slow to be a normal satellite. Too fast to be most asteroids, unless it's very near Earth, which, surprise, surprise, Orion is very near Earth, and compared to other asteroids, you know, it's coming back home now. So, let's see here. Got any more images? Yeah, we got a few more images. Let me pull these in. So I'm just previewing these images live and trying to see if we can find our target. Don't see it moving here. So maybe I shot past it a little bit. Let me try to do a go-to here. I'm going to slew the telescope and go directly to the current coordinates of Orion. You see it in the middle? It's in the middle, he thinks. Okay, Kaiser Cube thinks it's in the middle. I don't think... Oh, okay. I forgot this is the new position here. You're seeing this moving down to the right. The whole, and so keep in mind, you have to look at how it's moving in relation to the other stars. The other stars are also gradually moving down and to the right. The tracking's just going that way. Maybe you're seeing something. I'm not confident enough to say in this frame that I'm definitely seeing something moving differentially to the other stars in the frame. I don't have the confidence on that. I'm gonna do a slew to coordinates and try to update it that way. So we're now 58 minutes past the hour. I'm going to slew to a position a few minutes ahead of that. Okay. Okay, I've done a slew to the coordinates of Orion 7 minutes ahead of our current time. So I'm going to take a new series of pictures, and hopefully we can reacquire. I'll also try to astrometrically solve it. Let's see, did my astrometry have any success here? No, it did not. It is not starting the processing on these. Nova.astrometry.net, what are you doing? Are they having trouble right now? Are they getting slammed? Yeah, other people's pictures are also... Well, that one's solved. Okay, so they've got some that are solving, but that was... I don't know when that was submitted exactly. It was a recent picture. Recent picture. Yeah, quite a few of their recent pictures are not solved yet. So I don't know what astrometry.net's doing. They might be having server trouble right now. Okay. So we couple images here. It didn't move very far from where I had it, it looks like. It looks like, I think I might have had it in the right position, but maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. Okay, this is new position. Try to adjust the contrast here if I can. Not quite like that. Maybe I went too far. Okay. Not 100% sure. Again, pretty tricky because of the amount of moonlight we're dealing with here. But I'm going to come back up just for people who were joining late. If you missed it earlier, here was the first sequence that I took tonight on Orion. I feel like the moonlight, for some reason, is getting worse as we get higher in the sky here, but so Orion was here and it moves down and to the right. You can see even in one image here in 30-second exposures here, it moved down here. So it's moving, and you got to pay attention to the other stars and look at how it's moving relative to the other stars. It's got to be moving relative to the other stars to not just be another star. And you can see it's definitely moving differently than the rest of the stars. It's noticeably moving down and to the right consistently. Now, in some of these images, for a while, it's so faded in the glare of the moonlight that you can't even really see it. But about here, I can start to pick it up again. About here now in the image. And so if I go back, it's really hard to even distinguish that. Only in motion. It's only because of the motion that I can really pick it out. So a blink comparison here between images. There it goes. Down and to the right. And there. Now the trouble is, at this point, at this stage, the scope is sort of drifting a little bit down and to the right itself. But this thing is moving faster than the stars are. So it's moving even faster down and to the right, amplified by the scope's own natural drift. There, the moonlight's really bad, but it's about here in the image. Now it's about here in the image. So it's there. It's just very, very, very faint. Okay, and so then I move the scope, tried to get on it again. I can't say for sure that it's in this frame. Okay, so now here's the new images. Again, the moonlight just seems to be getting brighter and brighter as it rises higher and higher, and it's almost like it's making the situation worse. In theory, Orion should be getting brighter too from getting higher above the horizon, but it may not be benefiting as much as the glare of the moon, I think. Possible. I might see it here actually. Here. Look at here. Look here in the image. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna. Okay, it starts at 93. I'm gonna stop going back too far, but it's hard to say. Might be something moving here. The stars themselves are, as you can see, they're trailing a bit. These are totally unguided exposures out as not ideal, but we're going to make do with it. See, between 97 and 98, between frames 97 and 98, if anything, the stars, like, look at this bright star up here, it sort of wiggles to the left a little bit from the tracking. But there's something, I swear there's something here moving down and to the right still. Right here. By frame 100, things are wiggling back to the right again, which makes it difficult to tell what's going on. We've got a few more frames. Let's pull these in, 4 more frames. Yeah. Again, the motion helps. The trouble is that these frames don't want to solve in Deep Sky Stacker. Like, I can't get them to align properly because the stars are all too washed out by the moonlight. It's not detecting them as stars, even. Which makes it quite challenging. It's going to be even challenging for me in post to do anything with this that would be useful. Like turning it into a time-lapse. It's got to be stabilized first, and that's really tricky if Deep Sky Stacker doesn't want to lock onto the stars. It's really tough to do. I can try to do it based on astrometry.net if I can get that to work, but the astrometry.net, the website's not even working for me right now. It's sitting there like a bump on a log, not even attempting any processing, which is just a nightmare. I do have it running locally on my desktop PC. So what I can do is I can try to get one of these pictures to solve locally and just at least confirm the coordinates. I would like to at least confirm the coordinates and confirm that what I see moving is indeed Orion. I'm not just imagining things here, but that it really is the target that we've been going for here, the Orion spacecraft. Yeah, I'm pretty sure yeah, like here between these two frames, it's right here, right here. Okay, and then as I go between a couple of frames there, I think it's moving. But anyway, let me check some of the earlier frames where the moonlight wasn't quite as extreme as it is in the moment. And let's just see if I can find a good option. So I think trying to see what realistically will be easiest to astrometrically solve. This image might be feasible. I think there's enough other stars here. So in this image, Orion's about here, I think. We're gonna try to confirm that. But you can see it moving back and forth in that box. Left, right, left, right, left, right. Okay. So I'm gonna get image 44 here on the desktop, and I'm going to astrometrically solve it and just confirm that what I'm seeing here really is Orion and not some other unrelated target. The odds of it being an unrelated target are extremely low, but not zero, so let's find out. So I'm going to fire up some stellar drone here for you guys. And I'll be right back after I do some astrometry. Alright, so I finally got it solving on my desktop. Notice I didn't use the past tense there. Hopefully it'll solve. I had to do a fair bit of tweaking with the background to try to get it to correctly lock onto the stars you see here in the image, which I finally did, but it also locked onto a fair bit of noise. That was the compromise I had to make. So it's going to take a few minutes to solve. In the meantime, I'm going to reposition the scope, try to get on it again, and see what we get. So let's pull up the latest coordinates here. I'm going to go to JPL Horizons, just see where we're at. We are at 36 minutes past the hour. It's going to be 2:36 Universal Time right now. So I'm going to go a few minutes ahead of that position. Okay. Okay. Let's see what we got, gang. So I'm going to start taking pictures here, and I'll pull them in as we get them from the camera. So, Christopher, were you able to get onto Orion at all with the JPL Horizons link I sent? Or is that just something you're going to try later? Just curious. So this is where it says it is. Kind of. Gosh, astrometry. You're just failing hard on me tonight, aren't you? Speaking of things that are failing hard, the tracking is awfully smeared. I'm not super happy with that situation. I'm gonna just keep trying to upload to astrometry. It seems like sometimes it will actually do the processing, but their server's just having a ton of trouble. And at this point, so is my telescope, because we're getting really high up in the sky. The altitude's getting pretty high. As we get closer to zenith, the scope has to work harder, turning faster in the azimuth direction, and it results in sort of shakier tracking, unfortunately. I can try to reduce the exposure, but I can't guarantee that's going to allow me to detect Artemis at that point. But I'm going to try to cut it down here. Try 10-second exposures, 2x2 binning. Could also try increasing the binning to cut the resolution and make it more forgiving of the tracking situation. But we'll see. Let's just try it with 10-second exposures here. Okay. Yeah, I cannot get astrometry.net to work for me. In any case, okay, yeah, this is the other issue. It's the brightness contrast situation here. Okay. So we got some pictures here. Get rid of that box. Don't see anything definitive. Obviously got a lot of moonlight we're dealing with here. I'm gonna try to look at this pattern of stars just in Sky Safari, since everything else is just failing for me in terms of technology tonight. So we are 43. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to see if the star pattern matches any kind of expectations there. It's not quite right. Tried to plug in the coordinates, but it... Sky Safari, what are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, let's try this. Gonna go to the equatorial coordinates and deal with it that way. Still not confident I'm recognizing the pattern here. But let's just pull in these images and see if anything shakes loose. Okay, we've got... Not sure, gang. Not sure. Not seeing it clearly here. Also got a heck of a lot of moonlight there. I don't know why it gets so much worse at times. The moon just starts glinting off something, I swear. It's just a soupy mess. Okay. Let's try one more slew. Gosh, I really would kill to have some astrometry working right now. This is just driving me crazy that their servers are down tonight of all nights. Because, you know, I need it. That's why it's down. Oh, good grief. And yet, for some people, it seems to be generating solutions right now. The server seems to be working for some, but not others. Like that one's solved. Mine's just, it just sits there waiting for processing to start. It never gets the extraction, it never does the... Oh! Okay, this one actually started, it started running, finally. Now hopefully it will solve. Okay, in the meantime, let's see here. Gonna try another slew here. Alright. Yeah, it's still having a heck of a time trying to solve my earlier image, but I'm just gonna let it go. It's got 10 minutes to try to get it right before it'll time out. But at least the server finally started trying to solve the image. Okay. In the meantime, let's see if I've got anything here with camera. It's still settling in after the slew. And $4.99 super chat from Eric Silver. Can you track my father coming back from the grocery store to buy some milk? Oh no, oh dear, I'm very sorry about that. Fortunately, I don't think I can make that one happen. Okay. latest images. Man alive, that this moonlight is just making life really difficult here. Okay, so these are the new images. You don't suppose this is it? I mean, there's something there, right? My goodness. But there's no other stars. There's no reference point, so I can't tell what's really going on here. My goodness. I swear I'm seeing, looking through the viewfinder, I swear I see way more moonlight in that viewfinder than I did earlier in the night. I wonder if the angular separation from the moon is actually decreasing. Let me check what it is right now. I don't know. I didn't run ahead and check to see what it would be throughout the night. So what are we at now? We're at 53 minutes past the hour. Okay, 2:53. Well, it shouldn't be. I don't think it's getting worse, is it? Couldn't be. It's, Nah, it's still close to 6 degrees thereabouts, I'd say. Just eyeballing the coordinates and figuring the difference. Okay, let's see. But I mean, I'm only picking up a singular star at this point. I mean, that's not encouraging in terms of trying to detect something that is probably magnitude 15. I think it's just the way the scope is drifting. There's one other little star you can see down here in this case, and it's moving the same direction. Pretty sure. Yeah, they're moving together. It's just a star. I'm gonna say at this point, there's so much glare from moonlight that even if it were in frame, we wouldn't have a hope of detecting it at this stage. But we'll scroll back up here again to the original images where I had it right when I started the stream before the moonlight got worse. Maybe part of the issue is the haze. The haze might be getting worse. So, again, for those who missed it earlier in the stream, this was, we think, was Orion moving down and to the right progressively in these images. Had it for about 20 minutes here in this initial frame. Again, it's about here. Okay, So just left that box and went here. Down, down, down here. So again, like here, I can really... There's something there. It's streaked into 30-second exposure. It's about right. Yeah, astrometry.net. The site is having a heck of a time with my image there. Let me go back up this list and see if I can find another example to feed it. I just want to, before we go tonight, I want to get confirmation in the form of coordinate solution. Let's see here. Let's look at 128.20. So that was 128.20 universal time. So I can help things out here a bit by looking at where Orion would have been at that time. So I'm gonna first of all just verify that I was pointing where I thought I was at the time using Sky Safari, pulling in those coordinates and checking that against the star pattern I see. See if I can make heads or tails of that. Yeah, I can. I immediately see something very familiar. So, interesting, as Jeranism would say. Right around this time, it should have been to the right of these three stars here. I see this little tiny triangle of three stars. I see that in the frame. In the field of view predicted based on the images, or based on the coordinates from JPL Horizons. So I'm definitely in the right ballpark. Definitely in the right ballpark. Which gives me even greater confidence that that's our boy, that's our target right there. Which is just mind-blowing to me, considering the poor conditions that I have been dealing with tonight with sort of the haze, the slight haze in the atmosphere, the extreme moonlight, and being only 5 or 6 degrees from the moon. I mean, just bonkers. Trying to pick up a capsule that's almost as far as the moon itself, just hours after it passed right over the moon on the return flyby burn from my own yard. It just blows my mind. So again, I want to get astrometry to solve this. This is image 44 here, image 43. I swear it's definitely, there's something moving there. And I want to confirm, we also confirm that it's moving the right direction. And $10 from Kaiser Cube. Al, you need some more beer money to help see through the moonlight pollution. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's see, I bet astrometry.net failed. Yeah, they timed me out. It timed out after going through about half the stars it thought it had locked onto. Zoinks. Okay, let me go back to horizons here. Let me pull up coordinates from about 10 minutes later and just confirm that horizons is predicting that it moves the direction that I see it moving. I'm gonna go 20 minutes later just to be safe. Just so I can really see some motion here. I'm gonna change the coordinates I'm looking at on my phone on Sky Safari to match what JPL Horizons said that it was going to be at about 20 minutes after I first saw it. And that will let me confirm that the motion that I saw from frame to frame was what I should have been seeing for Orion. Yeah, it's further to the right. Further to the right and down, I assume, in the... A little hard to tell because I'm looking at equatorial coordinates, but really it's the horizon that matters. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's going to be our target. Nevertheless, let me take a look here. Deep Sky Stacker. Let's go to image 54. Let me upload that. And see if this one comes up at all. So in image 54, I think Orion was here in the image. It's a very, very faint target. And I'm going to go check the desktop real quick and check on what that shows for trying to solve one of these images. So I'll be right back. Oh, finally. Okay, so I finally got astrometry software to run on my desktop and generate a solution, even though the web servers are just beating me up tonight. So I'm copying that over my OneDrive right now so I can get it on the laptop, and we can finally try to see what's going on here. Oh, is the OneDrive going to give me trouble now? Hope not. Okay, be right back. Be right back, and then we will confirm, hopefully, whether or not this really was Orion. Alright, I managed to not drop my USB flash drive this time. Knock on wood, right? Famous last words. But I think now I can copy this over the laptop, and then we can take a look together at the astrometrically solved picture. Okay. So I'm going to open it up in SAO Image DS9, and then I'll share that screen. And I'm putting my USB flash drive away before I lose it again. Okay, so... Alright. Now let me change which screen I'm sharing with you guys. Okay, so now you can see SAO image DS9, so this lets us look at the coordinates within the image and see what we get. So this right here was my suspected target of Orion. Let's see how that matches up, hopefully, with the predicted coordinates. Okay. Now let's look at Fitz header. Oh dear. Okay, so yeah. I forgot it. It would have, because I had to throw it into GIMP real quick and fix the background to try to pull out more stars so it would solve. So I got rid of my timestamp, but I can look back at Deep Sky Stacker. So image 44 was taken at 1:28:54 Universal Time. So I can use that. As a reference. Okay. Looks like it's going to be close. Actually, I'll go for the midpoint of the image because it was a 30-second exposure. So the midpoint would have been, let's see if I can do the math in my head, 2909, I think. Yeah, would have been 2909, 12909. I think. Okay, so midpoint of exposure 7, and then declination 33. Ooh, declination looks like it might be a little off at that point, but it's moving very quickly in declination. So let's see. So that's where, so this is where JPL Horizons predicts it to be. It's within that circle. Okay. Now, let's see here. This is at image midpoint. Okay, so this is at the midpoint of exposure. It's not bad. Again, the target, what we saw was right here, and the center of the circle is where JPL Horizons predicts it to be, which is not far off. Now, it was moving down into the right in this direction, so let's see what happens if I pull in the coordinates for Orion from a few minutes later. And let's just verify again that the motion was as expected. So let's see here. Went for about 20 minutes, roughly. So I'm gonna pull in some coordinates that are actually well in advance of this particular exposure we're looking at right here. 48, 31, 14, 54, 46. 1. Okay. Okay, so this was the predicted position about 20 minutes later. Down and to the right. That's exactly the motion we see. So Orion is almost exactly where JPL Horizons predicts, moving in the way that JPL predicts. That is cool. So there we have it, guys. That's confirmation that what we were seeing in Deep Sky Stacker was indeed Orion. That's what we were seeing with the images that I first took. I am pretty stoked about that. So, let's see here. I guess you guys can't see the coordinate window that pulls up. You can see the coordinates up here in this screen when I mouse over it. But let me share the window of the coordinates screen. Okay, there we go. So you guys can see that. Set this to the right ascension declination coordinates. So here's the right ascension and the declination. This is what JPL Horizons predicted at this time. And let me see here. Shape, let's do a line. Pan down. Zoom in and enhance. No, we're going to zoom over here. I'm going to draw a line. Okay. Stick one end of the line inside the streak that we saw that was Orion. And we're going to pull the coordinates of that. Okay. And I'm just going to measure here the distance between the predicted position and the observed position, just to see what the deviation was. Okay, so I'm going to copy these coordinates into one point of the line. Okay, so that is now connecting the center of the circle being the predicted position from JPL, and it's connecting to the streak that we saw, and that distance is 0.001957 degrees, which in arc seconds, 7 arc seconds. So yeah, it's within 7 arc seconds, or a tiny fraction of a degree. 1 arc second is 1/3600th of a degree. So the observed position's very close to where JPL Horizons predicted. And it's moving in the expected direction. So before we wrap up here, I'm just going to recap with going back to Deep Sky Stacker and just showing you guys the images once more. Hopefully I can do something useful with the images. They're a little messy because they're unguided, of course, and you got all the moonlight and all that, so it's not going to, even if I do something with it, it wouldn't look as nice as the time lapses I've done tracking Orion in deep space before now. But I thought this was certainly worthy of a live stream since I was catching these images, and as soon as I saw something moving, I couldn't believe it, because again, this was a long shot. I knew this was a long shot. This was asking a lot of the telescope and everything else. To try to pick this out of the moonlight. So yeah, we'll go back up here to the start, and Orion's up here, and it moves down and to the right in progressive images. Some of the images you really can't see it well, if at all, due to the moonlight, but then it comes out for a little bit, and it's moving down there. So by the end of it, ends up over here, which is basically what we saw should have happened according to JPL and the coordinates that were measured in the image that we just looked at. So yeah, 48 minutes. So you can see where that is there. That the red box here, where we see Orion here, corresponds roughly to that second circle position, which is down and to the left of this bright star up here. So you see this bright star up here, the red box is down here. So if we go back one more time over to SO image DS9, you can see that second circle is down and to the left of that bright star. That is the motion we expected to see. You can see it. That's about how far it moved over the course of 20 minutes. So it's moving at the expected speed, and it's at basically the expected position, just a few seconds off of where JPL predicted. So I'm pretty darn stoked about that. That is awesome. Well, thank you, Kaiser Cube. I don't know if I'm the only. I don't know if maybe because maybe no one else is crazy enough to have tried this tonight. I mean, most people would probably just assume, well, it was just next to the moon earlier today. It's going to be too bright out with nearly a full moon out to see it, which is almost true. But we caught it here for about 20 minutes. And I'm pretty happy about that. I wouldn't be surprised though if someone else was crazy enough to try that too. But yeah, I'm pretty thrilled with that. So that's going to do it for this live stream. And thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed this little peek at Orion tonight as it heads back towards Earth. If I can get it later on before re-entry, then I'll try to do another live stream, but no promises on that. We'll see what happens. But at the very least, I was able to catch it here on the return journey. Definitely wanted to get one live stream off with tracking it with my own scope. And you can check out my Twitter page for a bunch of other tracking I've done and some of my previous videos. The short I uploaded a couple days ago, and another video I did breaking down my analysis of its trajectory from the initial photos I took, and calculating the orbit, measuring its distance, and confirming that first of all it could reach the moon, and second of all that the images we see from Orion are consistent with what is predicted based on my own independent orbit determinations of Orion. So you can check that out in some of my previous clips, tracking it with various telescopes on the iTelescope network. And then, again, just shortly after launch, I tracked it with the 8-inch scope one day after launch. But now we've got it here tonight, just barely, after its return flyby burn just past the moon, and now headed back home towards Earth for an expected splashdown on December 11th. So until next time, thanks for watching, and clear skies.